Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of the AYS podcast. Today we'll be discussing what makes a great server. Joining me today we have Sandro, who is our Chief Business Officer, who will be able to provide us with some insight into building servers, as well as we have Zach, who is one of our server developers here at AYS. He will also be providing some tips and tricks to help grow your community. Myself, I'm the CEO of AYS. I'm happy to be here. I haven't been on the podcast before, and yeah, let's get started. So many of you are trying to grow your communities, and we thought, what better way than to give you some tips on how to do that. So first, originally, let's talk about how Discord started off. So Discord was originally built to help gamers meet up and interact with each other, and now it's become a lot more than that. It supports hundreds of thousands of servers, ranging from ones related to TV shows to sports. As the CEO of Discord said back when he started, who was Jason Citron, he said, "We couldn't find a good platform to talk to our teammates on, so we built one." Recently, though, Discord has been moving from more of a gaming platform to more of a community platform with features like nitro boosting, which allows you to get perks for your server, such as brand new URLs, more emotes, and also the new introduction of community settings and server discovery, which makes building a community easier than ever now. I think one of the most important things when building a community is making sure it's unique. If it's not unique, people aren't going to be interested in it. There are so many community servers nowadays. If you just come and make a community server, why would anyone join it? You have to make sure it's unique. So pick something that people haven't really done before. There are so many community servers that it's basically old now. People need to have a reason to join, and this is one of the core concepts of marketing, is that you have to give value to people, and building a community server does not really give much value unless they actually have close ties with other members in there. And as well as there are a lot of large, like hundreds of thousands of member communities that already exist for this purpose. Next, once you have an idea, you need a good name. There's lots of good tools on the internet for making up names for your server. You can use something like a Shopify's business name generator or NameFlux, which uses an AI to create names. Once you have that, it's time to build your layout for your server. So this is one of the most important things when you have a server is laying it out right. So first we'll start off with channels. So basically there's two types of channels. There's text channels and there's voice channels. Channels are basically different areas of a server people can talk to each other in. So text channels, you type in them, and voice channels, you speak to them. Most servers mainly use text channels. They're a lot easier and simpler to use. So there are also these or what we call groups of channels as a category, and you can make categories with permissions, which we'll discuss later. But basically, with categories, you can put a bunch of channels in there. So, for example, you have your information section, which will have your welcome to your server, your rules, your roles maybe, what you offer, announcements, events, etc. Then you would have your general category, which is where general discussion happens, bot commands, memes, all that cool stuff. Then you might have, depending on what sort of community you have, it'll those you'll make additional categories for those. You'll also have, possibly a staff category for where you have your staff channels like staff announcements, bot commands for staff, the chat, logs, so your moderation logs, your server event logs, etc. You might also have a category just for voice communication. So if people want to talk, they can do that in there. You can also have categories if you have such things as a partnership program. So you'd have your partnerships requirements, your ad, and the advertising channels for the partners. So it's really important that you make sure your channels align with your server well, and it's not really cluttered. Another good thing you can do is put emojis in the channel name. It's good to be consistent with this, not have like one with an emoji and one without, as that puts people off. But if you have it one way or the other, that's good. Make sure your emojis also fit up with the description of the channel, so don't have, a an announcement megaphone emote in your general chat because that's not for announcements and it could confuse people. Another important thing with building channels is making sure that you have your permissions set right. So with permissions, you need to make sure people can talk, but not ping everyone. TTS you should usually disable, which is text to speech, because it can be abused. Sometimes images that you can disable that if you want. Um, that's really up to you, but depending on your server size, if you're a bigger server, you might want to disable it in your general category because the constant amount of people talking. Another important thing about channels is cooldown. So cooldown is basically, or slow mode as they call it on Discord. It restricts people from sending a message uh, for 5, 10, 15, 30, 1 minute up to 6 hours. And that basically ensures that once a person sends a message, they have to wait for the cooldown. So in certain channels, like if you have a counting channel, for example, or a bot command channel, and you don't want people spamming commands, you can enable that. So say every 5 seconds they can only send a message, which will stop people spamming messages. NSFW channels, not for safe for work channels, those are channels that are made for people over 18, content that's not safe for work. Usually only servers who really need these channels should make them, but if you don't really need an NSFW channel, there's not really much point in making one. Another good point is is the way you arrange your categories. So usually the most important stuff you want at the top where most people will see it. This will ensure that, stuff like announcements, the rules and stuff, people will definitely see and they will be able to easily refer to it. And then under that, usually you want your general category. So people have easy access to chat rooms and stuff. Beyond that, you want role restricted rooms. So stuff people have to click on a role to get, such as reaction roles. And these are channels that only a specific amount of people have access to. Yeah. Um, that's kind of all regarding creating channels. Now we'll move on to our next topic of server development.
Hello everyone, it's me. Alright, the topic today is roles that you should have in your server and why you should have them. So, I think some basic roles you should have on your server are obviously you're going to want the owner role and and staff roles. You can call these roles whatever you want, but I think the more unique you make it means the more interesting your server will be. The staff roles you will usually want to make one that does not have kick or ban members permissions enabled because you don't want some random dude that you just hired raiding your server and kicking everyone or banning everyone. Some other great roles to have in your server are reaction roles as well as a member role, but really you only need a member role when creating a verification system for your server, which is good to have, especially depending on the type of server you may have. Keep in mind, if you don't exactly know how to make a server just how you want it, we do offer paid service of server development, and we can make you any server as long as it follows Discord TOS. Just DM AYS support and we can get you a quote on that. Anyways, on to the next topic, which is how do you make these roles aesthetically pleasing to match your server's theme? Well, I think the first step in that is to name your roles something related to your server. As in, let's say maybe you have a server themed around space and you want to make some leveled roles so people they get these new roles as they become more active in your server. Maybe you want to name these roles from small to big planets, such as maybe the first one being Pluto, and then Neptune, and then Mars, and you get bigger and bigger as it goes on. You could also put matching emojis within those if you wanted to, like within the roles. Now we need to get into the topic of what bots you should use. Well, first of all, you'll most likely want to set up a auto mod system in your server. I myself like to use Dino. However, that one is a little more difficult to set up if you're a beginner. A good beginner bot to start with probably would be Me6. it even has the option to do reaction rules. But the only downside of that, it only gives you one role menu. So you can only set up one role menu. And I usually, for role menus, I like to use YAG-PDB for reaction rules. However, it is quite difficult to set up, but I suggest looking up a video on it, as I find YAG-PDB to be one of the most reliable ones out there for reaction rules. Now that you have your bots and reaction rules done, you might want to set up some leveled rules. For this, I like to use Tatsumaki bot, which is also pretty easy to set up, and it also comes with games to play on the server. If you need any help on this, just look up some videos and it'll tell you how to set it all up if you do find it difficult. Well, now you might say that the bot setup is complete now. Well, you may also want some bots that can help you advertise your server, right? Some great bump bots are Discord, Discord.me, and our very own bumping bot called Liam, which we'll put the invite link in the description. You'll need a good description of your server to be able to use these bots. If you're not very good at making an advertisement for your server, we do offer this on our store, and our Discord growth experts will make you an ad for just a low price. Now that's going to be all for me today, guys. I hope you did all learn something today, and that you can get your servers growing in no time.
Hey guys, it's TBC Press here, and today to start off my segment, we're going to start off with staff team setup. So first we're going to start with the basics of setting up a staff team. Find people you trust to be the heads of your staffing team, but still have those people go through an application process. Even if you trust them with your life, you should at least have people with personal experience with staffing. The most important roles you should have. The top roles would be management, could include senior admins, top devs, etc., followed by admins, then moderators, teams, events, partnerships, etc., and finally helpers. If hiring into high position like admin, management, you should have a very in-depth application process. This should have them stating previous experience in Discord and in real life so that you can base them to other applicants. You should also pace yourself when hiring into higher positions. Don't accept the first person who has very little experience. Wait for a better applicant. Now we're going to go into the second point, advertisement and partnerships. When you advertise, try to make it very appealing. When I say this, use emojis. Now, I know that might be weird, but they're a great resource and they grab a lot of attention. And you're going to want to advertise in good sized servers and advertise multiple times. This helps you get the word out about your server more and more. Don't go over the top with the advertisement designs, though. Keep them simple but nice looking. Partnerships. We've all heard of them, and we all love them. For y'all who don't know what they are, you advertise another user's server and they advertise yours. But some people don't exactly know the brilliance of partnerships. Partnerships help grow servers. I've been in a server who had 15, yes, 15 partnership managers. They had over 5,000 members, and guess how they got a lot of their members? You guessed it, partnerships. Partnering gets the word out about your server and helps other servers grow as well. Now, over to Sandro with our commercial break.
Hello everyone, this is Sandro speaking, the new Chief Business Officer and previous Chief Communications Officer. This is the commercial break and we would like to encourage you to check out our Patreon. Link will be in the description below. To check out some of our awesome and unique perks and services we provide. We would like to sponsor one of our amazing sponsors, Capitalism. Capitalism is one of our most honored sponsored members of AYS and the server is called Ignited. We highly encourage you to check it out and give them so much love because they are amazing and we would like to thank them so much for giving us an opportunity to keep the business and platform up and running for you guys. The link to their server will also be in the description. We would like to give you some information about some of the positions AYS has and its operations. We currently have AYS Digital Marketing team opened and still looking for some new potential AYS staff. The digital marketing team helps with content such as podcasts, YouTube tutorials, newsletter, designs, and so much more. Now it's time for the riddle of the podcast. Every podcast we hold a riddle, and whoever answers the riddle first wins 5 event points. Event points can be used to buy some awesome prizes and perks such as Lion Premium, custom advertisement, and etc. The riddle is, I am the solution to finding what it is you're looking for. People do this every day to find out more. If you have the answer to this riddle, be sure to DM AYS support with the answer. Good luck to everyone. The riddle will also be in the description. To conclude this week's podcast, we would like to revisit the theme of this episode, and which is what exactly makes a good server. Things that we have listed on this episode is that the members and activity are the main things that make a good server. You cannot have one without the other because of how well the other corresponds with the other. You can't have members without activity, and you can't have activity without members. All good servers have 10% plus of their members active. Many roles such as staff roles, channels to categorize what channel you are in and the topic of it, and lastly the amazing members. You should also not forget that if you need further assistance on your own server, you can DM AYS support to get further assistance from our growth experts for a server review. A good server has a lot of different aspects to take into consideration. Yet if you follow the tips that we give you, you should be able to create a place you are proud of and that people enjoy. The things that we have discussed with you are so important because if your members don't see your server active or owners not dedicated, they will leave. It's sad, however, this is a reality to it. However, if you are dedicated and you try your hardest to push the tips we give you, I can promise you, you will start to see progress within your server. We would like to now wrap up this podcast and thank you all for watching only the beginning. Goodbye and hope you all have an amazing day and night.